The Grand Duke's last ride the streets of Florence were buzzing with whispers and rumors. It was the kind of day when the air seemed thick with secrets, and everyone's eyes were glued to the Prado Gate. The year was 1729, and the city was preparing for the annual St. John the Baptist's Day horse races. But this year, the event had an added twist: a Grand Duke who was rumored to be dead. Gian Gastone de' Medici, the last male heir of the Medici family, had retired to his bed, rarely leaving the comfort of his chambers. His subjects whispered that he had finally succumbed to his illnesses, but his sister, Maria Luisa, the Electress Palatine, was determined to put an end to the gossip. She insisted that Gian Gastone make a public appearance at the races. On the day of the event, a coach pulled up to the Palazzo Pitti. The doors of the Grand Palace creaked open, and with great effort, Gian Gastone was lifted into the carriage. The Grand Duke, a large and frail figure, was visibly unwell. His body jolted with every bump in the road as the coach made its way through the piazza, rolling from side to side. The citizens of Florence gathered, watching in a mix of curiosity and concern as their Grand Duke struggled to maintain his composure. As the coach moved down the street, Gian Gastone's head appeared at the window, and the crowd watched in shock as he vomited into the street. The sight was both gruesome and unsettling, but it proved one thing: their Grand Duke was indeed alive, even if just barely. Despite his condition, Gian Gastone managed to reach the racetrack and take his place of honor in the grandstand. The races began, and for a moment, the Grand Duke seemed to forget his ailments. He bellowed with laughter, shouting playful insults at the other spectators, but the excitement was short-lived. Soon Gian Gastone's energy waned, and he fell into a deep sleep. The crowd watched as he was carried back to the Palazzo Pitti on a litter, groaning and prostrate, but very much alive. The incident at the racetrack was more than just a spectacle. It was a stark reminder of the Medici family's declining influence. Gian Gastone's health was deteriorating, and the question on everyone's mind was, who would inherit the Grand Duchy of Tuscany? The Medici line was coming to an end, and the European powers were keenly aware of the potential chaos that could ensue. In 1731, an international conference was held in Vienna to decide the fate of Tuscany. Representatives from England, Holland, Spain, and Savoy gathered, but Gian Gastone was neither invited nor consulted. The decision was made: the 15-year-old Don Carlos of Bourbon would inherit the Grand Duchy. The Treaty of Vienna was signed, and Don Carlos was expected to take up residence in Florence to ensure a smooth transition of power. Gian Gastone, despite his declining health, seemed content with the arrangement. He signed a document confirming his role as guardian to Don Carlos, jokingly remarking, "I've just got an heir by the stroke of a pen, and yet I could not get such a thing in 34 years of marriage." In 1732, Don Carlos arrived in Florence, greeted by cheering crowds who were relieved that a successor had been found. The young prince was presented to Gian Gastone, who, in a gesture of traditional Medici generosity, gave him a small, velvet-upholstered carriage pulled by 2 white donkeys and a gold-embroidered parasol. It was a whimsical and somewhat inappropriate gift, but Don Carlos accepted it with grace. However, the peace was short-lived. In 1733, the King of Poland died, and the War of the Polish Succession plunged Europe into conflict. The Treaty of Vienna was torn up, and a new treaty, the Treaty of Turin, was signed. Don Carlos became King of Naples, and his younger brother, Francis of Lorraine, was named the new heir to Tuscany. The change was a blow to Gian Gastone, who had grown fond of Don Carlos, but he had no choice but to sign another decree of succession. The arrival of Francis of Lorraine's Austrian troops in 1737 marked a new era for Florence. The citizens, who had grown to dislike the foreign occupation, referred to the troops as Lorrainers and resented their presence. Public holidays celebrating the Medici were banned, and the city's unique history and traditions were under threat. Gian Gastone's health continued to decline. His sister Maria Luisa, the last of the Medici, visited him regularly, delivering lectures on the importance of faith. Despite his resistance, Gian Gastone eventually embraced the faith he had long rejected. On July 9, 1737, after a 13-year reign marked by impotence and inaction, Gian Gastone died, leaving Tuscany in the hands of the Austrians. Maria Luisa, now the sole surviving member of the Medici family, refused the offer to become regent. She continued to live in the Palazzo Pitti, a symbol of a once glorious dynasty. Her final act was a testament to her family's legacy. She left a will ensuring that all the Medici treasures, paintings, statues, and libraries would remain in Florence, a gift to the city that had been the heart of the Medici's power and glory.